Hey everybody, jumping on today live to talk about the idea of doing less and making more, and how this current culture of hustle, 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 do more, do more, do more is actually having a toxic effect on your business and has the potential of really sabotaging what you are working so hard to do. My name is Dr. Shannon Irvin, and I help entrepreneurs grow their businesses by tapping into the power of their brains to hardwire their success. And this is what I want to talk about today because I think it is epidemic in our culture today. Wouldn't you agree? Give me a thumbs up if you're agreeing that all you kind of see out there is hustle, 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 do more, rise and grind. That thought process, it has infiltrated the entrepreneur community. And what I see with a group of like-minded people that are highly successful, we're kind of beating a different drum. And it's a drum that is consistent over years and years and years. But before we dive into what are those things that we can do instead, the do less part, I want you to just think about right now what the hustling mentality does. So when you see everybody around you doing hustling, right, and they're doing more and they're constantly busy, and you see them in this group and you see them here, and you say this to yourself, they're everywhere, right? They're everywhere. Well, what's happening is they might be being very busy, right? You might be being very productive at doing a lot of things. So if you're someone or run your business in a way where you've just got the mile-long to-do list, right? And you're working off that to-do list as a means of productivity or as a means of moving your business forward, but you're not slowing down long enough to say, where do I want to be? Exactly how do I want to feel? And who do I want to be with when I get there? Then you can be highly productive, highly busy, hustle till your eyes bleed, and end up at a destination that will not be where you want it to be. And that's what I see happening over and over again, especially as our climate moves so quickly toward what's new and what's growing. You see people jumping ship and going and trying Venmo and let's try bots and let's jump over here and learn this, instead of really focusing in on the thing that's going to move the needle forward for you. So if that's you, if you're catching this on the replay, I would love to know how you feel when you're in that hustle mentality. Is it something that feels good to you? Do you feel like you're being productive when you're hustling? I think this is the delusion that's happened. Is you see, especially younger entrepreneurs, they feel good when they're working, so they'll be doing a lot of things, but not necessarily moving the needle forward. And then what'll happen is that you'll be in your business a year and a half, and you start getting so overwhelmed and so frustrated because doing all the things actually didn't move the needle forward. And that's a dangerous thing when especially if you've taken the leap and you let the 9 to 5 go, and now you're here in this scenario where you're wanting to build, you have passion, you want to build it, you want to grow, and you don't know the things that are going to move you forward. So you're just doing all the things and hoping that some of them stick. And I want to talk about that today because sometimes we can be so busy hustling and so productive, but we're really productive at the wrong things. And when you're in that state, you are on an overload of cortisol. And cortisol, although it has its benefits, an overload of it affects things like your focus, your sleep, which is highly, highly valuable in terms of being able to deep think and really create. And so if you're wanting to be somebody in the online space where you're creating and you're putting things out there in the world and bringing that unique genius that you have out to help other people, then you need your focus and you need your creativity and you need to be able to clearly plan your steps. And if you're working in this hustle kind of thought process, you're going to have compromised sleep. Your brain's going to be flooded with this cortisol. And what the cortisol does is, hey, Lydia, good to see you. A little high five there. So you feel that way. And I'm only, oops, sorry about the camera. I'm only preaching that because I was there. I truly was there. I believed that hustling was the way to get to where I wanted to go. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you don't have to work hard for seasons and sprints, but that's different than working so hard that you're sacrificing your family, working so hard that you are doing all the things, but you know you don't feel like you're moving it forward. So here's what happens when you're in that cycle. I call it the hamster and the hamster wheel, and that's what it feels like, right? Right, me too. Lydia says it feels like you're moving, ever going, ever having more to do, but yet never feeling like you've quite gotten there. So what's going on internally and in your brain is you're actually loading over with cortisol, which creates free radicals in your brain. It's oxygen that's over-oxygenated in a way that's become a free radical. It actually has the potential to put holes in your brain. And obviously that's going to have some detriment to your creativity in your long term. It creates an overload of glutamate. And it changes your brain's function. And the ways you see that is you start getting more tired. You can't sleep well. You're restless. You lose focus. You move from thing to thing. And these beautiful instruments of love have now created a culture in our brains of, I need something new. I need something different. I need to be stimulated. And when you're building a business, that, my friends, is the death of your business. Because it does take the ability to focus, to create, to show up consistently over time, to be able to build a business that people want to come alongside and be a part of. And so there is a way to do less and make more. And in the time that I've interviewed the people I have on the podcast that are high 7 and 8 figure earning people, to my clients, to myself, one thing that's a very consistent thing across the board is their businesses, my business, and the people that I coach, that business didn't grow until they slow down. I always say slow down to speed up. I think I learned that from James Wedmore. I know I did. So slow down to speed up. Why? Because, guys, focus is such a beautiful thing, and it can only happen in your brain's chemistry when you allow space for that to be there. So I call the 3 C's the things that really help you grow your business. And if you're focusing on these 3 things, you can start to do less. You won't be driven by that to-do list. In fact, you'll start to look at that to-do list as your outsourcing list. And that's where some real true time freedom comes in for you to be able to do that, right? So 3 C's, and I want to talk about them because these are the areas, you won't see them advertised on Facebook, right? You're not going to see the 5-day challenge to courage or the 10-day challenge for consistency, that nobody's going to opt into those things. But the reality is, and the 3 things, and they start with C's, but we'll break them down, are courage, collaboration, and consistency. And why is that? Why are those things the things that will allow us to actually do less, to focus more, and to actually make exponentially grow your business and make more and more and more? And the reason for it is it's the piece that keeps growing over time. So let's talk about courage. So obviously, if you're an entrepreneur, you already have a good dose of courage, right? You've taken a leap. Maybe you have a side hustle, or you're growing your business and you're trying to scale. But there's a level of courage when you go from just being blown around by the things that are current and you need to do, and the amount of courage that you focus on your business and you decide, this is where I want to go. This is how I want it to look. This is who I want to be with. This is what it needs to look like. And then you reverse engineer that and you show up in your business as vulnerable and as authentic as humanly possible, so that the tribe that you're wanting to grow really starts to trust you. because I don't know about you. Give me a thumbs up if this is you. Like when I'm following somebody or watching them online and they're just kind of giving me surface level, like you're never sure if they've actually experienced anything, if they've ever had any like hard challenges that have allowed them to go through this. And you know, that's one of the things that it's vital that you share you and I've always talked about where I almost gave up on my nonprofit when I was running two businesses and I just started taking on more clients and I had my son and I was trying to figure it out and I was in that hamster wheel, y'all. I was in that place of just like running and I felt busy, so that felt like I was doing things, but my business was stalling out. And I knew it's like something had to change. There had to be a different way. And I had to admit it, like, you know, with my one-on-one clients, I was really real. But then I was showing up in my nonprofit like the proper way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how I should show up. And as experts, that happens a lot. Like, I should show up with all this knowledge and act, you know, this certain way. And guys, we see through that. We feel it. Like, we want to follow. I want to follow. You want to follow people that are just like us, but just a little bit ahead of us. Real, genuine, people who struggle, people who succeed, people who share failures. That kind of courage, it takes a lot of courage to step on the playing field or the battlefield. If you follow Brene Brown, I love her imagery because that's what it feels like. And I think about this all the time. This defines courage. It's like you step on, too afraid to be too real. That's so true, Tamisha. Did I say that right? Tamisha. Okay. If I said that wrong, give me a thumbs down. And I want to learn how to say your name right because I know that matters in my heart. Brene Brown says it this way. She says, you know, you're preparing to go into the arena. And I call the arena anytime that you're coming into the public and wanting to serve people. And she said, it's like a big Roman, you know, theater, right? And they prepare to go into the battle, to the theater, underneath. So there's like a backstage, so to speak. And they're down there and they're preparing and putting on all their guard and armor. And then they take these flight of stairs up and then they go into battle. Well, Brene Brown says, I fully give testimony that this is how my business has grown. My business didn't grow when I put on the armor and stepped up and walked in and, you know, acted all buttoned up and, you know, this is who I am. Cause God, you know, I get afraid. I have all the emotions you have. I have failures. All those things still happen. I just see them through a different lens now. What Brene Brown says is, okay, you're down there, you're getting ready to go in and you're ready to serve and you're ready to get up there in the arena and be vulnerable, be out there. So you walk to the top of the steps and you get naked. And then you walk out and you give them you. And I say yes and amen, Brene Brown. That is exactly it. So that's the C, the courage, walking out into the arena of where you're serving and truly, truly being in that place of real. The good, the bad, the ugly. But the beautiful thing is your tribe will know you, like you, trust you, want to follow you because you are going ahead of them and paving the way. And so being that way, and if you think about the people that you like and you follow and that you want to emulate, I guarantee you the reason that isn't because they've got all the answers. Yes, their business has grown to a certain place. So you want to know, like, how are they doing that? But part of the attraction to them is because you like who they are. And if you have it all together, we never know who you are. We're like, who's that? Like, I have bad days. You know, we all have, I mean, we figure out, we get enough courage to run our lives. That's another piece of courage. Running your life and running your business from a place of knowledge that you are the person that is thinking the thoughts that you have. And at any given moment, you can shift what you think. And your thinking controls your behaviors and your actions. So it takes a lot of courage to walk out onto the battlefield. It takes a lot of courage to step into the spotlight and say, you know what, I want to give what I have to give away and help people get what they're looking to go get. And at the same time, that second C is collaboration. So as you're walking into the arena, linking arms with people that are at that same place that you are, that are moving their business to the next level. And this is huge, you guys, because a lot of times you hear this thrown around a lot, the scarcity mindset versus the abundant mindset. This isn't current culture isms, even though it's here in the current cultures. You guys, this dates back to scripture. I mean, God tells us the more that we give away, the more that will come back to us. That is in scripture. He says to test him with that. Test him? Like, yes, God says, test me. Give away your time. Give away your energy. Give away who you are. Give it out away. And things come back to you. And it doesn't feel normal or natural. It feels like, we grow up feeling like, no, mine. It's like, mine, precious. I have to hold on to what I have because it'll get taken from me. And the reality is, in growing a business, especially an online business, you've got to get really, really comfortable at linking arms with people that are doing the exact same thing that you are and build their business up with you. And in that process, they will do the same thing. I have collaborators that do the exact same thing I do, that have my same degree. And I love, in fact, Jim Thornton's gonna come on to the podcast here pretty soon. He is brilliant in neuro-linguistic programming and some of the things that I geek out on that helps entrepreneurs. He helps entrepreneurs. But you know what? He's who he is, and I'm who I am. And I know I can build his business up, and I'm not worried about getting anything. So collaborate, have the courage to step into the arena naked. Collaborate with those people who are jumping into the arena and doing the same thing, or coming from a different angle but doing the same thing, and build each other up. It helps, because I don't know about you, but I'm not surrounded in my family by a bunch of online entrepreneurs. In fact, most people say, you do what? They understood the whole one-on-one and helping people build their business, because that makes sense. But when I start talking about one-to-many and having an online course and doing masterminds, and there's a fuzz that comes over their eyes. And when you link arms with partners that are rising at the same time you are, in the same way you are, then they get you. And you have colleagues that have their own journey, but yet you're helping each other out. And I can tell you, as being somebody who has always wanted to help other people, but never really wanted to ask or receive, this has been a huge journey for me to get to this place, to realize it wasn't until I started collaborating that doors started opening for me. And I think God's pretty serious about this whole give it away and then it comes back to you thing. It's crazy. It's called this parable of sowing and reaping, and it's like a true thing. So it's an abundance. It's realizing there's an infinity amount of business growth that you can have. So no one person can take that away. So you got to give it away, some more that comes back to you. And the way you do that is just collaborating with people. Bring them on your Facebook Lives, promote their courses, do whatever it takes within your field to really have some relationships out there that you can support. I just got done supporting a friend of mine, Stu McLaren, with his tribe launch. And it was so much fun, hanging out with 100 other people who were doing the same thing online and being able to help Stu have an amazing launch. And it feels great, right? At the end of the day, knowing that my tribe, who I adore and love, got benefit, and a few of them bought into the program of Stu's, and I know he's going to take good care of them. I know that. So they're served. And if our heart is all about our tribe being served, then we don't worry about there being a lack. So courage, collaboration. And then this one is one of those unsexy things that is absolutely hands down the thing that is so much more important than hustling, doing more, to-do lists, productivity, any of that. And that's consistency. It's consistency. Because how can you know that somebody's going to be who they are if they don't show up on a regular basis? Think about the people in your own life, right? you know who they are and you have a trust with them, and you feel the way you feel about them because you spend time with them, and because you can predict what they're going to do, when you're going to see them, when they're coming home, like all those things. And it's the same thing with your business. If you're trying to grow, especially online, but it's true, brick and mortar is true as well. If you're trying to grow that, but you don't have a very consistent pattern on how you show up and when you show up and the way that you show up, then nobody knows what to expect. And when people don't know what to expect, it takes a lot longer to build trust, just a lot longer. So when you think about doing less, the things that I'm talking about don't take a whole lot of time. They take a whole lot of intention. So having courage, honestly, having that courage is a decision. It's a moment by moment decision to show up real, true, vulnerable, raw, and be from that place. Collaborations, when you show up that way and you're looking around the internet, you reach out, it doesn't take much time. It doesn't take much time at all. And then consistency, that's again another intention piece where you're sitting down, and I teach this certainly in my online course about how to sit down and really work with the way your brain is wired to set goals and make plans. And so you have your month figured out, and I know when I'm going live for the rest of the month. There's no guess about that for me. I know exactly when I'm going to email you. I know exactly when certain social posts are going up. Why? Because I care for my tribe, and I want them to be able to say like, oh, I know I can go on and see that this is going to be happening, or I can jump onto her live. I know she was there today. And it's something I'm trying to get better at. My dear friend, Tiffany Lee Bymaster, says this in her Lights Camera Branding course. And I love this analogy, and it's so true. If you've ever been at a triathlon or watched a triathlon, right? You see like hundreds of people at the start line of this triathlon, right? And they're just like, bunched up in a big bunch. And then they start swimming. And, Tiffany is so animated, so I can't do it quite like her. But, she's like, they're swimming. And then, like people are getting elbowed and like foot in the face. And like there's just people everywhere. Doesn't it feel like that when you're trying to run your business and you're seeing through the lens of competition, and you feel like you're constantly like getting knocked back, and there's so many people, right? So much competition. You see it everywhere. But she goes on to say, if you stay consistent and you show up and you keep showing up, then after a little bit of time, a few, weeks, a month, 2 months of very consistent work, the crowd starts thinning out. And if you've ever been to a triathlon, the stronger swimmers kind of move to the front. Those that are slower kind of move to the back, and there's more space. There's more room. You start to realize there's some ability to really focus on what you're good at and pace yourself and do those things. And then, by the end of the swim, there's, 2 or 3 people jumping out of the water at the same time. That is what consistency can do for you in your business, how it can get you ahead. Now, it's not 1,000 things, right? It's whatever avenues you're showing up in consistently, having a plan and walking that out. But those are the things, those 3 C's: having the courage, having the ability to not think there's scarcity in the world, and collaborate, whether it's with 1 or 2 people or 5 or 10, whatever your comfort level is. I'm an INTJ, so I've got my 6 or 7 and I'm good, but really watching that and being able to do the whole rising tide idea. But I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 3 areas, your courage, your collaboration, or your consistency, do you think you struggle with the most? And which is the one area that you feel like you're the strongest in? And I would love to see in the comments, if you're catching this on the replay, definitely let me know. And I just want to challenge you, as I'm challenging myself at the same time this week, as you're jumping into a new quarter, as you're diving in and you're really seeing that this is, that you really can do less to make more, but you have to be strategic about it. And you got to start thinking in terms of depth and focus. And you want to just pause and look at that to-do list outsource as much of it as you can afford to, and then some, because having the space allows you to be so much more creative, and your ability to bring your best courage forward, to collaborate well, and to be super consistent so that your tribe starts to follow you and you start to get momentum Here, this is what it was like for me. I started really realizing that this is the way to do it. I was watching my people, my mentors, and they were doing it that way. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I have to believe there's truth in this. So I started to just trust that. And it's kind of like a little bit about pushing a ball up a hill, right? It's a little tough and you can't see the top of the hill because you're pushing the ball up. You're staying consistent, you're collaborating, you're showing up with courage, and you're pushing it up. And you keep doing that level of effort, and then all of a sudden it gets to the top. You don't necessarily realize it because you haven't seen it yet, and it just takes off. And it couldn't have done that with the hustle. It couldn't have done that with just continuing that hamster wheel of the next shiny object, because you'd never be able to take steps in a straight line. You're stepping here and stepping there, and your brain is not focusing in the direction that it needs to be. But if you stay consistent, if you show up with courage and you start those collaborations and you just do that on a daily basis, you're really going to find some massive, massive growth in your business in such a short period of time, relatively. I'm never going to be the one that's going to tell you you're going to make $1 million overnight, but I will tell you, if you do this, you have the potential to have the life you've always wanted. And isn't that what we're really gunning toward? I don't think we're gunning toward the six-figure launch tomorrow. I think we want that business and life to last a lifetime, and to be exactly what we want it to be, with who we want it to be with and for, and not feeling like we're on that hamster wheel anymore, feeling like we have space and freedom and consistency, and that we're expansive and giving to our tribes in a way that builds them up. I hope this has been helpful today. I would love it if you shared this broadcast, if you found value in it. And I want to challenge you today to leave a comment. Let me know, what is that one thing that I would love to have you embrace all three, right? The courage, the consistency, and the collaboration, but you got to start somewhere. So if there's one of these that you aren't doing on a regular basis and you want to take the challenge, which one is it going to be that you're going to jump into the water with? Love being with you today. Thanks for listening, and I will be back here tomorrow, same time. What are we talking about tomorrow? Let me see. Hang on. I've got a plan. Let me look. Okay. Oh, yes. We're going to be talking all about how success in your business and growing the business that you want has everything to do with the questions you're asking. So we're going to dive into what questions you should be asking so that you can grow the business the way you want to. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.